Texas Democrats who fled to stop redistricting just folded like a bad poker hand. That's red state. As predicted, the legislators who fled to blue states have folded. Still, writes Bonshi, I'm not sure anyone expected them to fold this soon. Well, they had to fold eventually. It was just a matter of time, right?
Correct. So here comes a second special session. This one will come to an end on Friday. And they're just going to hit the ground running and hit a reset. And the expectation is this time they will realize that the proverbial jig is up and that they would return. Well, there you go. So, and they're going to, and as true gaslighters do, I see the headline, they are going to declare victory. Well, sure. Why not? And they will have made some money. They because they've all been fundraising off of it. Sure. And they will have been able to say, and this is so funny, to be a fighter. To be a fighter is a good thing, right? It's one of the things we love about Trump. People overlook some of the things that might not be their favorite thing about Trump in Republican land because, man, he's fighting. He has the right enemies. He's out there fighting the good fight, fighting the things that have needed to be fought forever and ever and ever. The flip side of that coin doesn't exactly translate. What does Democrat fighting even look like? Just in your yard howling at the moon, Trump is evil, Trump's a Nazi, orange man bad. They're making stuff up and posturing in such empty and ridiculous ways. That's not fighting. That's beclowning yourself. Well, there's only so much they can do. I really have to admit I'm fascinated by Gavin Newsom. He's trolling Trump with these all caps warnings and threats to Trump on social media. And then he's ending and he's saying you have one day to back down or we're going to redistrict in California to offset the gains that Texas is going to make. And then what does California turn? Because California's already 43-9 in congressional seats. Supposedly they can get 5 more Democrat seats if they do it. Okay, so but Newsom is sounding like, I'm not kidding you, like Rosie O'Donnell on a bender. He's writing these late night tweets. This is the governor of California, and he's trolling Trump with these He's fighting. Yep. Yeah, Beto O'Rourke gets up there. He's cursing, dropping the F-bomb. Lord. He's fighting. That's all. This is their version of victory. It's kind of wild. And meanwhile, Trump beautifully, masterfully baited them into actually making cities like Washington, D.C. safer again. They are pro-crime. They're pro-crime and anti-police, anti-law enforcement. No way around it. No way you could do. They're trying the race card. Oh, he's racist for doing this. Hitler card. Oh, he's authoritarian, or as one of the Democrat leaders called it last night, authoritarian. She literally stood there. Words are hard. Some of these people are not. We didn't exactly send our best in these positions of authority. Did you see the D.C. police chief, a woman by the name of Pamela Smith? I did. Mark. Now, let's play it quickly for the benefit of people who don't know. She was holding a press conference and, decrying. Well, although the police union is all for this. The police union said. Greg Pemberton, the D.C. police union chief, says this is great. Rank and file saying this is wonderful. Thank you, President Trump. Yep. Crime's out of control. Every block is a carjacking. We got blah, 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 blah. So here's the police chief. Now, the police chief evidently went from being the head of diversity, equity, and inclusion. From the DEI manager to police chief. Isn't that a career track you always want? Well, and I give you what that results in. Here was the exchange yesterday.
What the chain of command is now?
What does that mean?
Well, is it Pam Bondi speaking to the mayor, speaking to you, or how does this work?
She literally, when the person said, what's the chain of command now, she scrunched up her face and says, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does chain of command mean, asks the police chief of Washington, D.C., a place where liberals assure us is perfectly run and there's no crime. As they are cruel to us, as they give us no quarter and no margin for error, this is me trying to be as gracious and accommodating as possible, and I'll probably be smacked down for it. And I may well deserve it. It is possible that there's a way she could have phrased that. What's the chain of command now? And where she might say, what do you mean by that in terms of how are we interacting with, AG Bondi and how, the Fed, or do you mean internally? Does our chain of command at DC police headquarters change? There's a way, and maybe that's what she meant,
Although I probably doubt it.
Well, maybe. I don't know. I mean,
oh man.
There are people that shouldn't be. Let's just acknowledge there are people that shouldn't be in the position they're in, but they're there because of diversity, equity, inclusion.
Well, okay, then
can't get away from that.
I tweeted yesterday. I really don't want to get to a point where I steadfastly say that I oppose women police chiefs. I really don't want to do it. But when so many of them are dreadful, just dreadful. This figure they got out there in Cincinnati with the excuse making for the Cincinnati beatdown. But I will tell you this: in one of yours and my favorite cities, Jessica Tisch is awesome as New York City's police commissioner. So I'm not there yet saying, "Oh, this is a job that a woman can't do." I don't believe that, but man, it's problematic sometimes.
Well, it can be, but you're so right. There's nothing about being a woman that should exclude you from being in a position of authority. No. You just shouldn't get in the position of authority simply because you're a woman. Bingo. Real simple. Yeah. You could say that about race. You could say that about sex. Look, there was this was near and dear to my heart. In another life, I used to be a pretty successful baseball umpire. Mm-hmm. I umpired in the SEC.
Is so cool.
Well, it's just something I did. When I was in high school, I started umpiring Little League, and I worked my way up the ranks. And I actually worked the NCAA Division II College World Series a few times, and I got a College World Series ring twice. And I actually went, I think, maybe 3 or 4 times. And again, I worked big time, Georgia Tech, Clemson, all over the country. So so for me, officiating is what I watch. I watched a ball game the other night, and all I watch are the umpires.
Well, okay. Where were you on the field? Were you behind the plate? Were you out there? Were you
rotate.
in a specific place? Really?
What, for the World Series?
So any given umpire in your world there's not like one behind the plate designated guy, one first baseline guy. You can be all over the field.
You rotate clockwise. So for game 1 of a 4-game series, you're the plate, then you go to third, second, first.
Isn't balls and strikes behind the plate 20 times more stressful because it's all about you 1,000 times a game more than calling whether something was fair or foul along the third base?
Absolutely, and that's what's bringing me to my point of this week. They had for the first time ever a female umpire on a Major League Baseball field. It's never happened before. There was years ago. I remember back when I was umpiring, there was a woman named Pam Postima, and she made it to AAA, but she only got to work in spring exhibition games. But the other day, and I don't know her, I forget her name.
Her name is Jen Powell. It's spelled P-A-W-O-L, but I think it's pronounced Powell. Jen Powell.
So Jen gets out there and for the first time ever umpired in a Major League Baseball regular season game.
Braves and the Marlins.
Okay, first pitch is on the inside corner. Now, I saw the pitch, and I've called a lot of balls and strikes. I've called... Remember the one-arm player, Greg Abbott from Michigan? He was a big-time...
Jim Abbott. Greg Abbott.
Jim Abbott, not Greg Abbott. Jim Abbott, But he was a big-time talent, and I worked that level of ball. I worked something called the double... So I've worked guys throwing 95-mile fastballs, and you got to know what you're... That was a questionable pitch. Yes. I will tell you, it was marginal. It was not an obvious ball. She called it a ball, and everybody said, "Oh, look, she blew the first pitch. Look, DEI, the female had..." Look, she's not going to be out on that field if she's not qualified.
She has worked her way. Listen, we always look for people who seem to have been handed things or fast-tracked undeservedly. She worked doggedly through the minor league. She absolutely deserved to be there. And by the way, it's not like there aren't men screwing up those calls. I mean, and I don't know if it's worse. What do you think? Is umpiring worse, or are we just paying more attention? And what do you think ultimately, since the technology clearly exists, robo-umps for balls and strikes, essentially AI calling balls and strikes? Good idea, bad idea.
That's the reality. I've got a very dear friend who retired a couple of years ago after years in the Major League Baseball ranks. Yeah. So I've got kind of a front row seat into all of this. The umpires welcome the technology. They say, look, our goal is to get the play right. We want to get the call right. If technology helps us get it right, so be it.
Is there a guy behind the... If we're doing robo balls and strikes, is there a guy behind the plate at all? I guess they'd have to be for like catcher interference or something like that. You'd still have
Well, yeah, but you know what fun I had? He let me watch. In New York City, right over on 6th Avenue, they have a Major League Baseball mission control. And there's a crew of umpires that are watching all the games, say on a Wednesday night.
A wall of screens.
There's a wall of screens.
Oh,
and
my gosh.
when there's an appeal, they get called, and then they go, okay, monitor 5, the Orioles game, there's an appeal on a fair foul call or whatever. So then all the umpires huddle, they get on. It was the coolest thing. It was this state-of-the-art studio, Mark, and then they sit there in New York, and then they rule, and then they tell the umpire on the field, no, it was fair, or yes, it was foul, whatever, and it was the neatest thing to experience. I was so glad to get to do this, but I miss those days. It was fun. There's such a fraternity.
I'm so proud of you. I can't ever imagine doing that. I can't imagine the pressure. And
it's hard.
Just
hard work.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.